So, we've talked a lot about the story, which, as we always say, is the absolute pinnacle of Destiny. But there are obviously some other areas of Destiny which maybe not going so smoothly. So we'll do our regular check-in with Crucible, which is that's the thing. You'll see such varying opinions on. You can pretty much tell how someone plays the game based off of like how they're feeling off it. Like, you know, obviously a lot of Crucible PvP players are not very happy. A lot of people are taking breaks, leaving the game, and hashtag nerf Stasis. Basically, Stasis is still... I mean, they did nerf it, but seemingly not enough. And as we've also said before, I think a lot of people just don't like Stasis full stop. And I think, again, as we talked about, I think in the last episode, I think a very good solution would just be a non-Stasis, a light subclasses only playlist. I think removing Stasis from Crucible is probably not going to happen. You also need to think, like, Stasis is one of the main selling points of Beyond Light. Like, Stasis isn't just a thing. Like, it's you know, there's a dollar amount
baked into the game.
Yeah, like it's what they spend a huge amount of resources building. So they aren't just going to pull it out of the game, no matter how many people dislike it. It's literally something that one of the main aspects you pay for with Beyond Light. So they aren't just going to pull it out because it's what you pay for. It would almost be just kind of like a waste of time for them. But I do think, you know, a playlist without Stasis would be great. But again, what if people like it so much that that's all they play? But I'm sure that would probably be positive. I mean, I know I would play that playlist a lot, and I think I speak for a lot of people that maybe that playlist would be more populated than the others. But yeah, the sentiment around Crucible, it is definitely sad to see, but Crucible is not in a great place right now. It's definitely eroding.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing as well. I think some of the most eloquently put together thoughts with regards to this came from creators like Ascendant Nomad. And his entire philosophy behind why people loved to play Destiny's PvP and got so deep into it was not because there was some great competitive scene, even though at the time of Destiny 1 Year 3, people were really trying to push for that to be a thing. Instead, it's because it feels great to play it because of the fact that you've got the ability for a hero fantasy to truly play out in front of you, and because you have some of the best feeling movement mechanics in a video game. You know, it's not quite Titanfall 2 with regards to its movement, but there is a level of depth and control there that allows some players to really shine. And up until Top Tree Dawn got its buff, like, nothing truly broke it as much as Stasis did. But Stasis isn't breaking it because it is a movement mechanic that supersedes all the others. Stasis broke it because of the fact that Stasis stopped the great movement mechanics happening in the first place, you know? You have a fantastic movement-based sandbox in Destiny, and Stasis basically, literally put a hold on all of it. If you sit there and, especially now after it has been adjusted and nerfed as a result, if you're in a Duskfield grenade or if you're slowed, you won't be able to use some abilities, you know, some abilities like, say, Icarus Dash, rather. They are suppressed now whenever you're slowed. Yeah. So previously, where Top Tree Dawn would have been able to counter, say, a Duskfield grenade by jumping and then dashing out of it really quickly, now they can't do that, you know?
That's just that was example. A bug. They said that wasn't intended, but they just kind of let it slide.
Damn. Okay.
And they nerfed it, but it doesn't really make the situation any better. But they did say that was their plan initially, and they just fixed the bug instead of stealth nerfing. They just fixed the bug where now you can't Icarus Dash out of it. But
yeah, it's, you know, it really reaches the heart of everything, which is that Destiny feels partly great to play because of those movements, but it's also what that movement enables. You know, it's if you can move better than an opponent, it's a great way of countering them and outplaying them, and it means that Destiny feels fantastic to play as just, you know, that hero fantasy of taking on the 3 enemy guardians. But the moment a stasis projectile hits you, even if it's just a withering blade and it's only for slow, you know, you suddenly you turn into a bit of a sitting duck. And if it's a full-on freeze, then, good luck. And then you take away one person's speed, and then you have things like Behemoth, which move faster than anything else in the game. Behemoths can outpace a Top Tree Dawnblade going at full tilt.
I didn't know that.
And that's... Yeah, no, their melee lunge has such distance that it's actually impossible to stay away from them on all subclasses, except maybe those that will be able to clear enough distance before the super is popped. And then even after that, you know, I've seen some people who sit there and legitimately questioned whether they should be running stealth so that they would be able to crouch and appear off radar and maybe lose the Titan. You know, like that's the extent to which it is. You have people who are trying PvE strats to get away from a PvP enemy, and it's just I don't want to say anymore at that point. It's like,
Did
okay,
you
this
see,
thing, yeah, it needs
Did
enough
you see Jay Overrated's video of him freezing the guy like 5 times in a row?
The 5 ways to freeze
That
someone.
was the most hilarious.
No.
The thing is, like, just watching, you can like feel it. You can feel the guys, and it was so like frame by frame. That's such a perfect video because it's just like. You can almost feel the player. I almost wish you could see his perspective of just freeze, and he's just stuck there. And he's just like,
if there's a Guardian theater, if there's a Guardian theater of that guy's perspective, I want to see it because that's got to have been.
I can't imagine anything more frustrating. It's just there's something about There's something about it where it's just like just being stuck in place. Again, like you said it so many times when you were just talking about Crucible. We said the word movement, which is so core, as we always say to Destiny Crucible, movement. And again, as we've always said in lots of episodes, it's just a #1 rule you just can't cross. You can't just stopping the player's move. It's just jarring. Not from just a balance perspective, just from a player experience perspective. And again, I'm sure Bungie know this. You know, Bungie has a lot of smart developers, designers, and Crucible designers. But again, I'm sure there's also a lot of, leadership at Bungie doesn't want to just remove elements that make Stasis what it is, because that's pretty much like a lot of people might not be inclined to buy or be interested in Beyond Light if Stasis isn't, you know, if it's useless, if it's completely just, the main point of it is, it's like we said, the point of Stasis is to be frozen. Without being frozen, it's pretty much useless. And with being frozen, it's very, very, very annoying. So it's just it's a catch-22. It's a messy one.
I mean, I feel as though, and I feel this is definitely not the first time this point has been raised, I feel as though an appropriate nerf to Stasis is, first of all, if you're slowed, stop that from suppressing some abilities, you know? Like, when you sit there and look at things like, say, Hunter's Smoke on on Night Stalker, that suppressing and slowing movement, I think is appropriate because it's a much harder slow to land. If you're looking at Stasis, I think a slow that maybe does not impact ability usage or accuracy or anything along those lines, and then maybe has more of an emphasis on some damage, and the slow is only just a small fraction of what it does, would be much more balanced. And then taking all the freeze abilities and saying only supers can do this. I feel like that would go a long way to making sure that players are not as caught up constantly in Stasis. Because if you're getting frozen by, say, a Warlock staff, as in the standard melee, that just feels bad because, I mean, I know how simple that is. You literally, at least on controller, just tap one button and you can potentially murder a super right then and there. Tap a button, pull out an energy weapon, boom, dead. But when you sit there and maybe have that only slowing a character, you have to work that into the rest of combat, and it's not just an easy win. If you want to turn around, hit that enemy with the staff, and it's not going to kill them, it's not going to freeze them, but it's going to slow them, and maybe you can make an escape, if you're fast enough, maybe. That, I think, is a sort of side to things that might have more players enthused. And if it's a super, I feel like that's an appropriate level of power to sit there and say, okay, these can freeze. You know, if you are in such a poor place that you get caught by the whirlwind tornado of the Silence and Squall, like, yeah, sure, maybe that should be allowed to freeze you. Or if it's just the Warlock super and the big staff, so to speak, yeah, sure, like, let that freeze. Or if it's the Behemoth and you get hit by the melee, or if you're left long enough inside their crystal zone, yeah, let those particular crystals actually freeze you instead of just slowing you. But with everything else, I feel like you've got a very clear point of saying, like, yeah, this stuff should not be able to freeze you.
Just slow.
It should not give you the chance. It should just slow, and it shouldn't be the kind of overpowered, oppressive slow that it is. Yeah.
No, I can see that. That's a very fair assessment. Like, only, you know, huge damage dealing supers and, you know, tons of freeze should cause, or tons of stasis stuff should cause freeze, but slow should be, if anything, slow should be just kind of the basic. It's still annoying, but less annoying, and the slow should maybe be less annoying, and, you know, you could be able to use abilities in it. But yeah, I mean, the only only thing I can think of possibly, and I'm not a developer, and I am very glad that I am not for this reason. The only thing I can think of is just a playlist without. I think that'll be a very good move. But it is just, it is a little strange because